The Boston Bruins have once again learned a lot from yesterday's game. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to have to change, but a lot of stuff they realize that is going to work out very well in the long run. A lot of player updates as well, so we're going to have to talk about all of that here in this video. Before we do, we know that 95% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel, so if you're looking for a spot to get all your Boston Bruins news, everything as it happens, you're in the right spot. Make sure to hit the sub button so you don't miss out on any of the breaking Boston Bruins news. But like I said, let's start this off here talking about yesterday's game. You know, this game, once again, I have to say, a lot of ups and downs. Almost blew the lead once again, but this box score here shows a lot. And there's a few players I want to touch on here once again, and I'm going to be saying, you know, a lot of stuff that some people probably won't want to hear, but a lot of stuff that is going to be very good for this Boston team going forward. But first of all, let's talk once again about, you know, the man of the trade deadline, Jake DeBrusk. A lot of people thought he was going to be traded. You know, I'll keep saying that, but ever since the deadline, he's been playing very well. You can see, once again, yesterday, 1 goal, 1 assist. Goal went off a few legs, but that don't matter. You know, the puck was in the back of the net. It goes on the score sheet, and he's getting another tally. So, Jake DeBrusk, you know, he's still playing like he wants that contract. I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter, X, whatnot, saying that, you know, this guy, if he can continue this, if he can continue playing well, you know, maybe a contract will be worth it. If he can prove the consistency, you know, it's not about Jake DeBrusk playing well. You know, he has spurts of playing well, but he also has some very, you know, dry streaks. It's really about consistency for him. It's really about consistency and how much money, you know, he's willing to take to stay with the Boston Bruins. You know, I'm not going to say the Boston Bruins are going to go out of their way to extend him. If he's not going to be, you know, taking a reasonable contract, a contract that he's worth, I don't think the Boston Bruins do it, but from what we've seen these past few games, just after the deadline here, Jake DeBrusk has been playing well, and, you know, he seems like he wants that contract. He seems like he wants to prove that he is worth that money. So, you know, we're going to have to see what he continues with, what he can do here in this whole, you know, rest of the season, I guess you could say. I'll pull up this hockey stat card on Twitter or X, whatnot, once again. I'll interchange in those, you know what I'm talking about. But you can see, 4th down, Jake DeBrusk, once again, very, very good on the offense. One of the better players on the ice in that game. Like I said, a goal and an assist. Some things that you want to see coming from Jake DeBrusk. Some consistent stats, some consistent points. And he's been seeming to do that. You know, he's seeming to you know, figure out and acknowledge what he needs to do if he wants that contract extension. But let's continue on here. There's a lot of good coming from this game, even though they nearly blew the lead. Another one is Parker Wotherspoon, a guy who, you know, very young on this team, is going to be taking that next step over these next few seasons, and the Bruins want him to play good. You can see there, third up, you know, a plus in every category, which is absolutely what you want to see for a guy like him. He's there at the bottom, an assist on one of the goals. I cannot remember exactly which. I do apologize for that. But, you know, he's starting to see more ice time. He's starting to see more consistency at the NHL level is what exactly we're looking for. So I do think that the development will come. You know, I'm not going to say this. I'm going to say this every time that we see a young guy on this team, a lower NHL experience guy, that you got to give them time. You have to put them out there. They're going to make mistakes and whatnot, but, you know, good things will come, and we've seen that here from Parker Wotherspoon so far this season, you know, in the role that he's played this season, as well as in the games that he's, you know, he's shown that he's been able to get into. So, once again, another great performance from him. And I wanted to talk about one more player here, and Johnny Beecher. You know, Johnny Beecher, once again, recalled recently the other day, face-offs right there at the top. You can see, once again, another big thing for him. 5 wins, 3 losses. Not as good as he was last game, but it is still a positive. So, you know, once again, something you always want to rely on is a good offense. Face-offs on the offensive side and the defensive side of the puck. Johnny Beecher able to do both here, and I think that, you know, this Bruins team needs him. I think that's the bottom line here, is that, you know, he's been AHL this season, NHL this season, got sent down, but this really proved that the Bruins need him over these past 2 games from what we've seen since he's been recalled. And I do hope the Bruins, you know, decide to keep him up. I hope that they can see the difference in these games where he hasn't played to compared to where he has on the, you know, the face-offs and whatnot. He's just been a really big part of this team, although it may not seem like it from, you know, an entire game standpoint. But once again, you know, a pretty good game from these guys, I gotta say. You know, is one that we've been hoping for. Some things that still need to be fixed. You know, they're not too great at clearing the puck. You know, that's one thing that I do want to touch on, and probably you can see there from Hampus Lindholm's on-ice defense. But the offense is good from him, once again, you know, but that defense really took a toll here in this game. But, you know, once again, I do think that there's going to be a few things they need to fix. Like I said, clearing the puck is one thing. But Jim Montgomery recently praised this team over a few moves, or not a few moves, I should say, a few occurrences in this game here. The big one being the final minutes of this game. He goes on to say this here. This has been a post-game interview. Jim Montgomery on last night's win versus the Flyers. I did like the last 90 seconds. I thought we didn't give up anything, and we got pucks out, and we didn't allow them to come at us with speed. And that's really going to be what the Boston Bruins need to work on a bit more, is doing this consistently throughout the game. You know, if they showed they could do this in the last 90 seconds, Andrew Peeke being a big part of this, which I'm going to touch on here in a minute, but once again, this team really needs to work on being able to get this puck out. It's not as physical as they were the past few seasons, so it's getting harder to be able to do that in the defensive end, trying to, get that puck, get the offensive team to turn it over and get that puck out. But doing this in the last 90 seconds, showed that they can do it. So it's just going to be a matter of working on it, keep going at it, keep, working on what works. And fixing the things that don't. It's a lot easier to say than it actually is, especially at an NHL setting, NHL level, but I do believe that this team really can turn this around for the second half of the season, lower these, these comeback leads from other teams, and I do think that this is going to be a lot better with Andrew Peeke here. And that's another guy I wanted to touch on here. Once again, another quote from last night's post game. He's exactly what the Bruins needed via this trade. I got to say, I've been very high on Andrew Peeke, even at the trade occurrence. That video that I made about the trade, I was super high on him. I knew that there's a lot to come out of Andrew Peeke, and a lot that we do need on this team. So this is what he had to say. Andrew Peeke on being on the ice to close out last night's win. It was great. Obviously, in my second game here, being able to be in that situation like that helps the confidence. Just to know that it's part of who I am as a player, is helping out in those situations. And once again, we've spoken about Andrew Peeke a lot. We've given him a lot of praise, well-deserved praise, and, he kind of just showed that, The Columbus Blue Jackets made a mistake by trading him. They made a mistake by not playing him throughout this whole season. We saw the last 2 seasons. He's only missed 2 games out of those entire 2 seasons. So it's not a matter of him, not being able to play every night. He's shown that for 2 years. Very good on the defense. And once again, this game just showed that, the Bruins did the right thing in acquiring him. They're doing the right thing and playing him and making him a solidified part of this team because, once again, second game there, going out, not having that much chemistry with this team yet, and still being able to shut down this last 90 seconds of the game is exactly what the Bruins needed. I just mentioned that that's what they're going to have to work on, and then going out to get Andrew Peeke at this trade deadline, then in a second game going out and shutting out this team, or not shutting out, but you know what I mean, locking down this final 90 seconds, this is a perfect start for what this trade's going to, show for the Bruins and what's going to give to the Bruins in return in, being able to work on this throughout the game more so than just at the last 90 seconds. So, once again, another phenomenal piece from Andrew Peeke here, another phenomenal performance, and this trade, I think this one's going to go down. If this does continue, once again, there's still only a second game, it's going to go down as one of the ones of this season for the Bruins, one of the best ones, and even over the next few years. Remember, he's still under contract, I believe, for 2 more years after this season, so a very good move by the Boston Bruins once again, and I will continue to say that. But with a final update here, I promised you I'd give you a Drew Bavaro update from his debut, and, it's kind of what I expected. Didn't play too much, but when he was out there, I gotta say, he was very, very solid. Do apologize for not doing this yesterday. I was very busy. A lot of school, a lot of work, so I wanted to wait until after last night's game as well to give you a little big news session here. But I'll pull up what Mark Diver said, and this is exactly what my thoughts. He said, Ryan Mugnell, I believe is his name. I do apologize if I pronounced that wrong. On Drew Bavaro. For someone to jump in, sign his pro contract in the morning, and then be thrown right into the fire, he did exceptionally well. I like that he moves really well. There's a lot of great attributes that are going to translate well to pro. So, exactly what kind of I was trying to say or trying to mention. I'm not sure if it came across as that, but, being able to, use his college skill, turn it into a professional setting in, a very short time. You got to say he did very well in those few minutes he played in the game he played, and that's only going to be keeping on growing. The more he plays, the more he gets in the AHL. Eventually, I would like to see him in the NHL and hope that would work out. This season, maybe not, but once again, once he gets practicing with the Bruins over the summer, and whatnot, Providence or Boston. I do think that he's going to translate well into this team, similar to what they're looking for on more of an offensive side, but mix of defensive side of the puck as well. So, just a small update on him, but I told you I'd give you one, kind of, some initial thoughts on it, but that's all I do have here for this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to give it a like, make sure to hit the sub button as well. Join the channel. We have a lot of Bruins news coming down this for the rest of the season, into the playoffs, and the off season. Things are only heating up from now after the trade deadline, so you're going to want to make sure to stick around and catch up to date with all of the news. And make sure you don't miss out on it, That's the big part, getting up to date with all of the news. But, yeah, like I said, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.